Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining DifferenceMaker Demo Day. It's great to see a lot of new faces this evening. My name is Holly Lalos, and I'm the director of the Risk DifferenceMaker Institute. I'd also like to introduce Brenda Evans, the Dean of Student Affairs and Event Services, and also David Badalero, who's the Risk DifferenceMaker Fellow. And I'd like to also recognize Stephen Tello, who's the Vice Provost of Graduate Professional and Online Studies, and he is also the co-founder of the DifferenceMaker program. So here's an overview of tonight's agenda. We're here to listen to the 2021 DifferenceMaker $50,000 Idea Challenge winning teams, and then to also support them through mentorship. And Dave will speak more about the mentor program later on this evening. And Graham from the operations team will be sharing a detailed event agenda through the chat so that you can review more details about the event and the teams you'll be hearing presenting this evening. As you may know, DifferenceMaker is a campus-wide entrepreneurship program at UMass Lowell that helps all students pursue ideas that they're passionate about and to solve problems. So DifferenceMaker helps all UMass Lowell students pursue their ideas, and we support them with various resources like funding and mentorship, for example. So before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize a few folks who really helped make DifferenceMaker possible. So DifferenceMaker has a faculty fellow program. Faculty fellows are ambassadors for DifferenceMaker within their colleges, and they really help to support our students and our events. So I'd like to give a thank you to the fellows who are here this evening and joining us. Brent Schell from the Zuckerberg College of Health Sciences, Kathy Levy from Fine Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, Hunter Mack and Kalia Wolkowitz from the Francis College of Engineering, Tom Wilkes from the Kennedy College of Sciences, and Kevin Willett from the Manning School of Business. I also wanted to give a special thank you to Kevin Willett for helping to promote this event through his business. So he is the founder of the Friends of Kevin networking group. So thank you, Kevin, for supporting us in this event.
Thank you, Holly.
You're welcome. And I also wanted to give a thank you to the DifferenceMaker team. So we have our co-op students here with us, Adam, Yeharn, Lena, and DJ. And they also help to support events like this. And I also want to give a shout out to the operations team for helping with the Zoom event in logistics. So Graham Allen, Assistant Director of Media, Hospitality, and Event Services, and Adam Dunbar, who's the Associate Director of Student Affairs. So thank you, Graham and Adam, for helping us with this event this evening. And I also wanted to recognize Dean Richtermeyer, who is here from the Manning School of Business. So thank you, Dean Richtermeyer, for joining us. And I also wanted to recognize Andrew Sutherland, who I'm excited is here. So Andrew is an alumni from the Manning School of Business, and he is also a sponsor of one of our category prizes at the Idea Challenge. And he's been a judge and mentor for many years. So thank you, Andrew, for being here and supporting DifferenceMaker. So DifferenceMaker launched in June of 2012. So this is the 10th year of DifferenceMaker. Since 2012, we've reached over 60,000 student contacts, and we've awarded those student teams $500,000 in funding. Those teams that have won that funding have actually gone on to raise over $5 million in funding. They've received patents, and they have also become legal business entities. So our teams have really gone on to do amazing things and to make a difference in the world. Before getting started with the pitches, I just wanted to talk a bit about the DifferenceMaker process. So tonight you'll be hearing from the finalist student teams. So these 9 teams competed in the spring semester, and they won funding at the $50,000 Idea Challenge. From there, they entered a summer boot camp in June. And during that boot camp, they learned more about who their customers are, and also they developed their business models. So now they're here to present their new and improved ideas and findings since completing that summer boot camp. And then at the end of this event, Dave will discuss more details about the mentor program And he'll be also working with the mentors and the teams in the mentoring process moving forward. And just a bit more about the boot camp. So the students learned about customer discovery, they learned about their business models, and we also engaged various advisors who actually attended each session and worked with each student team to help them move their ideas forward and to ask them questions and to help guide them. So I wanted to take a moment to thank all the advisors for their time and expertise throughout the June summer boot camp. So Raja Abdulaziz, she is the CEO of Invisaware, and she's actually a past winning DifferenceMaker student team. Michelle Holland, who's an alumni of UMass Lowell, co-founder of Performance Rehab. Glenn Morgan, who's an alum. He's the CEO of Fuse Ideas. Brian Rist, who's an alumni. He's the chairman of the Rist Family Foundation, and he is also the founder of the Rist Difference Maker Institute. And Brent Schell, who's one of our DifferenceMaker faculty fellows and is also a professor at UMass Lowell in the Zuckerberg College of Health Sciences. So in addition to the advisors, we also engaged guest speakers each week that spoke about specific business topics. So I wanted to again thank Raja for speaking to the students. I wanted to thank Chris McKenna and David Canteros. They're partners at Foley and Lardner LLP, and they're also Idea Challenge sponsors. And Katie Muse spoke. She is the co-founder of Ambulatory Innovations, and her team also won DifferenceMaker funding a couple of years ago. And then Jack Wilson, who is the president emeritus of the UMass system, and also distinguished professor of higher education, emerging technologies, and innovation. And Jack is also an Idea Challenge sponsor. So it was nice to see all these, old DifferenceMaker teams coming back to help the students, alumni supporting the program, community folks, and faculty fellows. So me and UMass Lowell, we really appreciate all of that support. So without further ado, it is time for the student presentations. But before we get started with the presentations, I wanted to ask if there are any questions that I can answer at this time. All right. So if there's no questions right now, we'll get started. Feel free to chat in questions throughout the event. So each team is going to have 4 minutes to present their bootcamp findings to you, the audience. And then they're also going to be presenting their next steps and why they're looking for mentors and what type of assistance they're in need of to really help them move their ideas forward. And then after each of those presentations, we're going to allot 5 minutes of audience Q&A for each team. So the audience members, if you have any questions you would like to ask the teams, you can chat them in. There's a Zoom reaction button that you can click to raise your hand. So any questions you have can be answered during that time. So the goal of these presentations is really to help you as the audience understand more about each one of these student teams and whether you're interested and able to mentor them and help them move their ideas forward. And it's also a chance for all the student teams to showcase all of their hard work throughout this last month and throughout the whole spring semester in the Idea Challenge process. So again, I want to thank everyone for being here. And with that, we're going to begin the presentations with Team Apple a Day.
All right. All right. How's that looking?
Looks great.
Good. All right. So, my name is Jack Ryan. I'm a junior in mechanical engineering with a math minor. The two other people in my group are Emily Philpott, who is also a junior in mechanical engineering. She also has a Bachelor of Arts in Psychological Science and Studio Art from the University of Vermont, and Param Patel, a junior in mechanical engineering with a business administration minor. And we are an apple a day, a pill container for youth and young adults. So, an apple a day is a discrete pill case that's more appealing to youth and younger crowds. It's in the shape of an apple with on-the-go slices for taking your medications. And in the spring of 2021, we were the winners of the Contribution to a Healthier Lifestyle Award. And you may be asking yourself, how much value does our product hold? Well, just the emotional value to our customers would be making the act of taking your medications less tedious and stressful. It's also got a functional as well as an emotional value of just how discreet it is. And its functional value is that it also has an on-the-go ease that people are looking for in a product. Now, there is a difference between our customers and our users. Our users would be anyone from young children to young adults who are currently taking any daily medications and vitamins. However, our customers could also be parents of those younger children who are taking the medications, as well as the young adults who would be buying the product for themselves. These two segments would be our biggest demographic to sell to. And in terms of our revenue streams, we would be looking at direct sale of a physical product right to consumers, as well as volume and unit sales to resellers. For the longevity and sustainability of sales, we would be looking at a sale of the core component with individual slices sold separately, allowing for color customization and a little bit of individuality with our product. We'd also sell a complete base option, which would be a full apple in a single color. Looking to the future, we would be looking at different shapes and designs, including a digital pill case option for those more technologically inclined. And looking to the future, we're trying to be finalizing our design and having high quality 3D prints made, initial advertising to a customer base. We were looking for a business formation, looking into design search and patent exploration, and shopping around our product to potential retail buyers. And where we're looking for a little bit of help is, people with knowledge of unit and volume sales and retail market, knowledge of the plastic injection molding process, marketing guidance, and basic business formation knowledge. And remember, an apple a day keeps a doctor away. And I am open to questions.
Great job, Jack. So audience, if there's any questions, please feel free to chat them in. With the Zoom reaction, you can raise your hand or just feel free to jump right in and ask questions.
I have a question.
Go ahead, bro.
Sure. Hi, I'm BJ Rosario. I'm alumni at UMass Lowell. I guess, Jack, my question is whether you've had in the past or have any good ways or plans of confirming that the design is child desired. They're desirable by children. Like, do you have anything in terms of a strategy of like, we will do this design because we know this appeals to children, or some other way of just proving that competitive advantage?
Well, so in terms of it's shaped like an apple, that would be more appealing to the parents because, people think fruit, healthy, medications, you take them to stay healthy. And we're thinking that because we have an apple, you slice them up to eat them, right? That if we have different color options, kids love bright colors and stuff, that if they can have the option to customize their apple with these bright, fun colors, that would be more appealing to young children.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. There's some chats coming in. Howard asked, what's the overall dimension of the apple?
The dimension of an apple, it's kind of complex because there's a lot of different radii and such with that. But I'd say it's about the size of a baseball in total. I believe each component, I measured it out to be around 14, can hold 14 ibuprofen tablets.
Excellent, thank you. And Kristen asked, how does the digital pill case work?
So looking forward, right now we just have an analog version, but looking forward, we would be trying to add on, technological components. So maybe it connects to an app that can, send maybe for parents to make sure that their children are actually taking their medications, make sure that you're staying on your medication regimen, and keeping your progress of staying healthy and staying up to date with everything you need to be.
All right, thank you. And Thomas asked, what questions do you have around business formation?
Business formation, it's definitely a very broad, kind of step into the wild, but really starting out as an LLC and then where we need to go from there. I know that becoming an LLC would be a, pretty simple process, but going from there, where do we need to be going? Who do we need to add on to run a business? We have Param, who is in marketing, but other than that, we don't really have too much business experience on our team. And yeah.
All right, thank you. Heidi asked, have you investigated the competition, and what thoughts do you have on your marketing plan?
Could you repeat that again?
So the first question about competition. So basically, who's your competitors, and then what thoughts have you had on your marketing plan?
So in terms of competition, we're really we looked on Amazon, we searched online, and we have the usual grandma's pill organizer that you would see on a kitchen counter, 7 days a week. It's not fun, not targeted for kids. And then there is another one, I believe it's called the citrus case, that is sold on Amazon, and we found that from reviews that it's flimsy and can't really hold enough medication. They actually recommend you buy 3 instead of just 1. And then for a marketing plan, we're looking to, once we get a solid design down and we can work it out that it would be suitable for injection molding, starting out shopping ourselves around different retail stores and seeing who would stock our product on their shelves, and maybe also looking into online marketplaces such as Etsy and Amazon.
Excellent. John asked, do the slices come out completely, or is there only an option to just tilt them back?
So they all come out individually. So each one, you take it out, and then you would put this in your pocket, your purse, your backpack, whatever you need. Take it on your daily outings, and then once you're done, you'd slide it back into the core. And obviously, for the longevity, we would be selling individual slices because we would know that people would lose the on-the-go parts. So.
Excellent. Thank you. And John had a follow-up question. How are the slices labeled by day?
We would be having, a wrap or a sticker on the outside that would be labeling, Monday through Sunday on each individual slice.
Excellent. Thank you. And it looks like there's a hand raised. Mine.
Hello?
Hello?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, this is Mike. I own Atlas Academy in Drake. I had 2 questions. One of them is, it seems like this would be really price sensitive. Like if it's right next to a regular pill bottle, either on Amazon or in a store, then it's going to really matter on price. It'll look a little better. They might want the shape or the color. But how do you find out if people would pay, if people would actually choose it? Like, is there a market research you can do where you actually find out there's this option for this much and your option for this much? Will the person actually choose to click to buy yours? Like, how do you do that research, or do you think it's necessary?
That is a very good question on, marketing research on, we have a very unique and individualized product that really hasn't been seen. Many people haven't, seen it. They have the ordinary pill organizers, but they don't have something that's on the go. So we haven't really seen a market. There's a few that have on the go pill organizers, but we haven't really started getting into a position where we would be comparing ourselves, right away to different products on Amazon or, in, Walgreens, CVS, places like that. We're not
just
really
thinking
in a
if
position yet.
there's got to be some way to, because there's a huge difference between, yeah, that's cool, I like it, and actually buying it.
Right.
So there's got to be some way to get information about actual buying behavior versus just interest.
Right.
That was, oh, then the other one was easy. It was just, oh, sometimes parents might not want their children taking their own pills. So then like they would be the ones doing it for them. So then I guess it would just be cool to look like an apple because the kids would, I don't know, just like it more. But I don't know if that would be a problem too.
Yeah, and we also have a child safety lock on top so that children wouldn't be easily accessibly have easy access to the medications right away. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you for all the questions. We're out of time. Great job, Jack. And Jack, you can look at the chat. There are some other questions that came through. So if you want to type in some responses to those folks during the rest of the presentations, please do so.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome. Next up is Team Digital Life.
I'm gonna pull up a presentation now. Okay. All right, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay, so we are Digital Life Prosthetics. Our team consists of myself, Alejandra Luna, Smriti Kumar, Amy Nguyen, and Tina Nguyen, and we are all senior biomedical engineering undergraduate students. At Digital Life Prosthetics, our goal is to create affordable and comfortable prosthetics for children with upper limb differences who want to try new experiences in their life as they're growing. We have a unique adjustability feature which allows the prosthetic to grow with the child while still maintaining its functional integrity. We're the winners of the Significant Social Impact Award at the DifferenceMaker Idea Challenge, as well as part of the E4All and Thai DC University cohort this year. Okay, so here are our customers and users. Our primary target customers and users are parents and children. So as part of our customer discovery process, we've conducted Zoom interviews and online surveys. We've gathered information about what customers are willing to pay and what hobbies they partake in to understand maybe what activity kits we could provide for them as part of our interchangeable fingers. Some key takeaways are that affordability is important across the spectrum. Value proposition and the desire for a prosthetic is dependent on age, and long-term health benefits may be a big motivator for some people to get prosthetics. So here are our value propositions as they correspond to parents, teenagers, and children and suppliers. Parents want to provide the best quality of life for their children. So we meet that need by providing affordable and safe prosthetics for their children. Children and teenagers are at a stage where they want to fit in and partake in as many activities as they want. So we will provide function, practicality, and appearance that helps them fit in. And suppliers want to be reliable and honest towards their client and have a consistent revenue. So we will provide function and safety in our prosthetics. While talking about some numbers, our pricing is about $1,200 per prosthetic device. We want to include a $100 monthly financing options just to make it a little bit affordable for families, as well as having a $600 activity kit, which, as Ali mentioned, is just interchangeable fingers for specific activities, whatever they'd like to try. On the right side, you can see a 1-year plan per person, per client. We have a revenue as well as some costs for manufacturing devices, shipping, packaging, and customer acquisition, giving a net profit of just about $700. And this model encompasses a buy one, give one model, where one device, by purchasing that, you're giving one device to someone that is underprivileged. For our next steps, we really want to focus on further customer discovery, really getting to know our clients, as well as testing our prototypes with potential users. We've begun to form some of these relationships with interviews that we've been doing, and we want them to try out our prototypes. In doing so, it's really important that we work on the legal aspects of our businesses, such as NDAs, copyrights, patents, and also establishing a business entity. So moving on, what we need help with mostly is working on our business strategy, getting some feedback on that, perhaps working with a mechanical engineering student, professor, or industry expert to bounce our ideas off of, as well as establishing some connections and possibly getting funding to hire lawyers and attorneys. So thank you. And if you'd like to connect with us further, you can just email us, connect with us on LinkedIn or Instagram.
Right. Nice job, Digital Life. So Jack just responded to those other questions. I don't see any questions in the chat. So audience, are there any questions for Team Digital Life? So Howard asked, are there any pictures of prototypes?
So currently we don't have pictures of our prototypes. We just don't want to show that yet until we get our provisional patents. Some legal things.
All right, we'll go to Electra.
Hi, and I'm not an expert in terms of how these type of devices get into the marketplace, but when I'm engaging in the healthcare system, often a doctor and insurance weighs in very heavily in terms of what even devices I know about. And so I'm wondering, in terms of who the client is it first the medical community, doctors, surgeons, who make recommendations before it even hits the people who are going to be using it, like the child and the parent. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that front.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Ali, if you want to address that in the key partners, maybe.
Yeah, so at first we did have healthcare professionals as some of our customer segments, but we've evolved to consider them more as key partners because they do make those recommendations. And a lot of the people that we've talked to have mentioned that, they've heard it from occupational therapists or prosthetists. So those are key partners, and we do plan to work up with them.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. We're going to go back to the chat. Heidi asks, what is the market size? Are you engaging medical providers?
Yes, that's a great question too. So we are working with medical providers. We're trying to form those connections, interviewing them and emailing them back and forth a little bit. As for the market size, it's about 4.3 million for non-thumb amputations, and then 1.8 million globally for thumb amputations. And specifically in the US is where we want to start is about 220K non-thumb and 170K thumb amputations. So that's sort of our target market right now.
All right, thank you. And BJ, you have your hand up.
Thank you. Electric kind of took my question, so it's great there. But actually, an extension to that, though, is if you, Andre, if you had thought about even insurances, as it's once this channel, if a doctor or health organization promotes it, but another, if an insurance that's partnered is willing to pay for it entirely and kind of changes who you're selling to and the price point of that. So kind of curious if that has ever come to mind so far.
Yeah. So yeah, we actually didn't consider insurance as a customer segment. We weren't sure if a lot of insurances, paid for prosthetics, if they were considered like a cosmetic.
Sure.
But a lot of we've learned from our customer discovery that some customers their insurances do cover these prosthetics. And it varies. Smriti, I'm not sure if you remember if there's a particular type that covers these.
I think there are some premium insurances that cover the cost of these devices, or insurance maybe through the military. We know one person got 80% of their prosthetic covered, so they still had to pay about $4,000 because some of these devices can be really expensive. But if you have premium insurance, military insurance, things like that, they can cover partially the cost of the device.
Cool. Actually, a quick follow-up to that, I guess, Simriti, is do you truly consider your product cosmetic, or do you have a play to actually call it more essential? And it's just strategic to choose either way.
It's definitely more functional than cosmetic.
Okay.
We also learned through our interviews that's something that customers want, and we definitely want to give that to them as well. So it's tricky convincing insurance to see your device as prosthetics, or sometimes it varies on how even the physician words that my patient needs this device in order to function and be able to continue on with their life. So there's multiple factors that go into that, and it's a little bit of a tricky situation, but I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Glad you guys are thinking about it. Cool.
All right, and Lisa had also asked about insurance, and there are some other questions that came through. So unfortunately, we're out of time, but Digital Life, please feel free to read through those questions, and then you can send a chat to answer those to the audience. Nice job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so third is green fertilizer. Bernard, you're on mute.
Okay. All right. Very good evening, everybody. My name is Bernard Tavo. I'm a PhD student at UMass Lowell, and this is Team Green Fertilizer. The other two members are Sam, who is a PhD student too, and also Vishal is a PhD student, and Sam is a master's student, all pursuing energy engineering. So our system produces fertilizer from air and water using solar energy, as it is shown on the right hand side. The sun provides the energy, and this energy interact with air and water. This create plasma, and then the plasma actually, when interact with air and water, and then that generates the fertilizer. So we won the UML DifferenceMakers Award 2021 in the category of commitment to a sustainable environment. So in our value proposition, one is that our system actually is a very cost effective, in the sense that it's a one-time investment and also on-site production of fertilizer. That means there is no transportation cost. And then also secondly, using the alternative energy generation, which is solar, it's more suitable for the off-grid situation. And as opposed to a conventional fertilizer production process, which is the Haber-Bosch process, and that releases vast amount of carbon dioxide. Our system is actually, it's benign, doesn't release any carbon dioxide. So it reduces environmental pollution and the nitrogen runoff as well. So overall, our system mitigate climate change and also its adverse effects. So we have a number of customers, both from Uganda and also in the US. These are small and medium farmers. We interviewed them. We have a number of them across the state in the US. One thing which came so prominent is that all these farmers are very interested in our system, and particularly in the on-site production. And also we realized that half of the farmers actually use synthetic fertilizer and half use organic fertilizer. And this is a very good opportunity for us, especially those who use organic fertilizer, for us to maximize our product with. And also surprisingly, many of these farmers are willing, they say they're willing to pay over $1,000, provided it's actually good. Then our revenues actually include direct sales of the product, and also in the long-term plan, we intend to have technical supports and maintenance, and we are also looking for grants as well. Now, in terms of the business sustainability, one, we intend to give free maintenance for the start, and also for the bulk purchase, we shall also give discount, and we intend to liaise with different farmers, and those who refer us to other customers, we give them referral bonuses. And we also intend to have a comprehensive system analysis, which includes efficiency, production rate, and life product cycle basing on the feedback from our clients as well. And also we are pursuing for the patent as well. Then in our next step, we have already some product, but we still intend to acquire more additional equipment and carrying out more experimentation and also update our system design. And we are also pursuing official business establishment as well as marketing plan development. We are already in contact with a business, mining business school. And we already written some, applied for the grant to pursue our patent as well. Now, what we really need from you is one is to help us with the business setup and development. It requires a lot of procedures. Some of us, we are very nice with those processes. And also we are looking for fundings, grants, and as well as investors who is willing to help us. And as lastly, we are also looking for legal services, especially to formalize the operationalization of our system. Green fertilizer, yes, we can help your garden grow. Thank you for listening, and I invite your questions. Thank you.
All right, nice presentation. So we have some questions in the chat. Elizabeth asks, does the amount of pollution in the air matter?
Yes. So the amount of pollution in the air actually matter, because currently when you look at for Haber-Bosch process, it reduced over 30 tons of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And that is, if the business continues as usual in the next 30 years, that would be a very big problem for the case of the global warming. So using some of this technology would really help to mitigate, in advance such effect. By the way, we already crossed the tipping point pertaining the global warming. As you could see, different weather changes, the extreme weather conditions experiencing both, like even within the US here.
So another thing also, this helps mitigate nitrogen runoff as well, which helps reduce environmental emissions.
All right, Thomas asks, how many solar panels are needed per acre of crops? And how do you overcome the competition for sunlight for the plants and for the energy to produce effective amounts of fertilizer?
Okay, that's really a very good question. Thank you. Currently, we are still carrying out experiment in the lab. We are running 60 watts of a solar panel, and it's giving us a promising results. So we expect that from the experiment, we shall be able to establish the actual amount of energy which is required to power to supply an acre, and then it is from there when we shall have a very precise information on those data.
All right, thank you. And BJ, you have your hand up.
Thanks. Hi, Bernard. So interesting question regarding the slide where you had interviewed both US and Uganda farmers. Because those are two different cultures, two different humidity, two different soils, two different quality of water, do you expect with the technology that will produce different fertilizer and will change almost like your business model and tech depending on where you start? Or will you be able to standardize it to one model, one tech, and will always produce the same fertilizer?
Okay. Personally, I'm from Uganda, so in terms of the culture and the situation, I'm very conversant. But in terms of the soil analysis, that requires the technical people. Even for us here, we are not sure with still the soil analysis, because at the moment our expertise is to produce a fertilizer, but we are also going to engage the soil expert to know like what amount of fertilizer is required to apply. Maybe if you're in Arizona or if you're here, that varies. But the most important thing is for us to have the fertilizer. So what we looked at, your question is actually right. So what we are considering for the meantime, we are actually starting with we want to start with the US, and then once our prototype and everything works on well, then we can customize it with Uganda. The good thing is that we have abundant solar energy, both in Uganda and USA. Actually, for Uganda is even more than some states in the US as well. But the overall thing is we are beginning with the US for the meantime, and then we shall customize with Uganda's situation.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, back to the chat. Lisa asked, does this increase water consumption for the farmer?
Oh, yes. So that is a good question. Now, the system is actually unique in the sense that we can really incorporate it in the irrigation system. So when you have the system and you fix in the irrigation system, then that does not necessarily, you know, have a very impact in terms of the amount of water required by the plant. In any case, we only need to control like how much energy we are getting in to produce how much fertilizer, depending on the soil content of the soil content of the area, as well as the consumption demand of that particular plant, because all these have different, all the plants have different demands for the fertilizer.
All right, thank you. We have time for one more question. So Amy asked, have you actually created the fertilizer and used it to grow crops? So basically asking, does this work?
Yes. So we already actually produced the fertilizer. So the fertilizer, it's in terms of and we call it nitrate. So it is not a crystal, it is not solids, it is just already a solution in water. So but we still want to increase on the amount, and then we shall definitely start experimenting like with the crops. I think by next week we should be done with the preliminary experiment for us to get and test it on the crops.
Excellent. All right, thank you for all the questions and great job, Sam and Bernard.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up is Novlens.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, we're Navlens. I'm Danny, and we're a group of engineering and business students, and we're building an assistive technology startup. Our team won the Innovative Technology Solution Award this spring, and our plan is to produce a technology to assist the visually impaired, and it will allow them to be more independent in their day-to-day life. We're developing a wearable headset to allow the visually impaired to navigate unfamiliar spaces independently.
So I recently came across a study published by the International Research Journal of Engineering and Technology, which really caught my eye. So it evaluated the existence of assistive technology in 3 functionality categories, which were 3D camera-based navigation, binaural assistance, and smartphone or platform assistance. The survey found that nothing currently exists on the market as a practical solution that's both functional and cost-effective in any of those categories. So it's apparent why this grabbed my attention, as those 3 categories effectively define our idea. We know we have a solution that can change lives, and our job is to bring that to life. So it's of course impossible to understand the challenges in living with any sensory impairment without understanding it firsthand. So in developing a product for this category of users, market research is not just critical, but the very framework of our product development. So by interviewing people who live with visual impairment, we've learned that there are a lot of gross misconceptions of what it's like being blind or visually impaired. Along with that, there are many subtle yet frequent challenges that remain unaddressed by traditional assistive methods, which are solved by the principal functionality of our device. So the first-hand input we've received will allow us to optimize the features in our tech to be as beneficial as possible to our users. Asa?
Our business model is based around 3 revenue streams. The first is device sales, either individually or in bulk to institutions or organizations. We'll also be offering the devices on a buy one, donate one scheme. The second channel will be extended warranties for individual devices. Since a large majority of our customers will most likely never make a claim on the warranty, this is going to give this revenue stream of ours the highest profitability. Lastly, we'll be offering repair services, a third stream. The assistive devices market for the visually impaired is a growing market, both domestically and abroad. So that's going to give our business model some intrinsic sustainability. But to grow these revenue streams into the future, we will be pursuing developing new technologies in the market. To make this a reality, our team will be continuing the customer research we started in the summer boot camp. Specifically, we're going to be exploring the preferred interface design of the market for the device. And as part of our capstone project this upcoming fall and spring, we are going to be building our minimum viable product and testing it with customers. Afterwards, we are going to be seeking funding to build the to get our startup off the ground. And we're also going to be looking at building partnerships with healthcare institutions and charitable organizations. Where we're going to need some help is building the partnerships with those institutions, healthcare and charitable, and possibly insurance institutions. We're also probably going to end up needing some help in forming our company and raising capital to manufacture the devices, be it we manufacture them in-house or through a partnership with a third party. And lastly, we're going to need some help navigating the FDA regulations controlling medical devices and their testing. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, great job, Novlens. Lisa asked a question. Why do you anticipate almost no warranty claims?
Not no warranty claims, but low warranty claims, because majority of the claims would be for device failures, which we're going to do, make sure our devices don't fail unexpectedly on them.
All right, thank you. And Heidi asked, do you have any prototype at this point?
We've had a simple prototype that was a wearable about, I think it was 2 years ago. Edwin had it.
Yep,
and
2.5 years we built the basic prototype.
Yeah, Edwin, do you want to cut in and finish this?
Yes. So 2.5 years we built basically a basic prototype that just had 2 forward distance lidars. So we were just testing the concept of can a headset with 2 forward distance lidars basically give a vibrational feedback back to a person so that they don't collide into walls. This was relatively simple and we were able to do this. Now we're using a more camera-based method to have a more holistic view on what is happening in the room so that the person can not only avoid obstacles, but also do some navigation. And also not just be looking at the 2 points that the forward distance lidars were giving, but look at hundreds of direct points or thousands, depending on the settings of the camera.
All right, thank you. And Elizabeth asked, who would be your target market? Elderly, young adults, children?
Anyone that has severe visual impairment to the point where you're nearly or totally blind. They were not targeting a specific age, as we were just creating glasses, and any age can wear glasses.
All right. And Jenna asked, do you have a plan to mass produce your product and have thought about which manufacturers you would use?
We have not yet. Currently, we've been working on developing the product and customer research primarily.
A large part of that is knowing basically what cameras and what processor we need on the board. So before we determine what manufacturer we need to use, we need to determine what processor and what cameras we need. So we're testing that right now. Once we have that determined, we can make those decisions.
All right, thank you. And I see a couple hands in the room. Howard.
So you, in your presentation, you mentioned that glasses, but really this sounds as if it's going to be something that's going to be more of like a helmet. Is that what you're envisioning the final product looking like?
Our final product is, the plan is to be a pair of glasses with the most deviation possible would be a, you know, at like an amusement park, what are those straps you put around the back of your glasses, stop them flying off? It's going to be a pair of glasses with one of those on it at the absolute largest.
The only clarification would be the glasses, the frames, like the lens of the glasses would be blackened out, and behind the glasses there would be basically the cameras would be stored there with a small cuddle to see the surrounding area.
Just to follow up quick, how would you gain almost say 360-degree input to the user?
We're not seeking full 360 degree.
Because a person like you or me who are walking, we don't see 360 degrees around us. We just see about 180 in front of us. It's shown that since humans are able to do that, we don't necessarily need full 360. We just need 180.
All right, thank you. I'll do one more from the chat and then BJ. So Peter asked, how do you send feedback to the user? ? Only vibration ?
So we'll be using, our idea is to use binaural audio, which takes advantage of very small delays in sound delivered between each ear, as well as certain frequencies which are filtered, which allow us to subconsciously pinpoint the location where a sound is coming from. So we're able to emulate that either using sound libraries recorded from special binaural microphones, or there are open source softwares that are constantly improving, which can produce those real time. So the idea is to emulate a sound coming from any object that's in the vicinity of the user.
Vibration, just to clarify, vibration was only for the first stage prototype 2.5 years ago. We've moved past that.
All right, and time for one last question, BJ.
Quick technical question. Regarding the binaural algorithm and like those and kind of that logic, do you have a way of mathematically proving that this tech will be superior to, say, an app or any other way of just rather than anecdotally saying that a person's able to walk around or see the world better? Do you have a way of mathematically showing that this is a superior way of solving the problem?
I mean, this
mathematically, we do not. We haven't conducted any tests yet.
I guess more and more towards the structure, because you're sending, like you're using the cameras, you're using your computer vision, do you have a way of using that data, saying because you're sending those signals, you can measure effect, like benchmark efficiency in a way that other solutions can?
I mean, we've already tested out the camera systems, and we can detect obstacles with those, and we can detect those efficiently and very rapidly, so we can refresh very quickly. But it is the general process that we have been able to test this in simulation. So now we're just getting the audio feedback for the user. That's the only part that needs to be built. The rest is all proven and works.
Awesome. Thank you.
To further answer your question, one metric you could actually compare ours to other option is if you're holding the leash of a dog or using a cane or using a smart cane, you're only getting one single data point back. It is there something right there, or the dog is that way? Our device is going to be providing you with lots and lots of data from a whole bunch of different points to the user. So you would be getting a larger picture of your surrounding. So
okay, no,
does that answer your question?
Definitely, thank you.
All right, nice job, Novlens. Thank you for all the questions. Unfortunately, we're out of time and have to move on to the next team, but there are lots of questions in the chat. So Team Novlens, please feel free to answer those questions in the chat. Nice job. The next team up is Team Terminus.
Hello, we are Team Terminus, seeking to ensure food security and to provide independence to those who need it most. We are creating an enclosed, high-efficiency food production system to eliminate the main causes of food insecurity in urban environments: inadequate transportation, lack of space, and unstable supply chains. We won an honorable mention in the 2021 Idea Challenge and the People's Choice Award in the 2020 Prototyping Challenge. After speaking with our future customers and reworking our design, we realized that the most attractive features of our units are that they are inexpensive compared to alternatives, with our current full solution costing a total of $2,000, or the amount that one person would spend on food regularly for a year. Our units also produce fresh food year-round, no matter the climate or region. And our units are small, which means they can be operated even inside a small indoor area like a house or an apartment. However, what we found that resonated most among our audiences was this idea of gaining independence and freedom from something, whether it's a changing economy, unstable supply chain, electrical grid, changing society, or even unpredictable weather. One of our largest customer groups are lower middle to middle income preppers who are 21 to 40, use social media, shop online, and live either in an urban or rural environment. They're looking for cost-effective, space-effective ways to gain food production independence. We conducted over 55 interviews in one survey, which gained 24 responses to gain these insights. While interacting with our target groups, we were met with surprising enthusiasm for our project, with 5 preppers making pre-orders on our units, 4 food pantries partnering with us, one makerspace asking us to present for them, and one prepper group inviting us to run a Q&A session about our units. Preppers would purchase our units by making an initial down payment and then monthly payments until they gained ownership of their unit, at which point they would have the option to donate their unit to someone in need. Nonprofits would rent our units, meaning that even though they'll never gain ownership of the unit, they'll still make monthly payments. To sustain ourselves, we would sell monthly or yearly memberships to a database of yield and internal environment information to researchers and interested users. People will also be able to purchase additional software programs for their units to increase the selection of plants that their units can grow. We currently need to finish our prototype, obtain IP protection, officially register as a business, and we're also in a NASA competition. We're in their deep space food competition, and we'll be presenting in the competition next month. So we're filming videos, writing documents, and preparing the presentation. We have a pretty solid understanding of what we need to do in the coming months, but we do have a few questions regarding long-term future steps. We don't really know when we should transition from low to high volume production, when we should begin producing units out of house, and at what point we should consider using equity to attract investors. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, nice job, Team Terminus. It looks like we have some chats. Peter asked, how do you compare to hydroponic indoor garden systems?
This is actually a question we get a lot. So because we're soil-based, we can grow crops that are way more calorie dense than hydroponic systems usually can. And we also have this added sense of security from bacteria or viral infections. So, I mean, it's much easier for something to get in the water and then spread in your whole water system. Whereas we don't have that to worry about because of the soil, and we also consume much less power. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but there we have many advantages over a hydroponic system.
All right, thank you. And Heidi asks, what type and range of food can you produce?
We can produce most crop plants. We do have certain sizings. The current first batch that we're growing is going to be turnips, kale, we can also do beans and radishes. But in the future, we plan to also incorporate tomatoes, peppers, and all of that good stuff.
Excellent. And Lisa asked, why are customers paying differently? Why are nonprofits not allowed to purchase to own?
We actually talked to the nonprofits directly. We asked them if they wanted that option, but that's something that they're not as interested in. Many nonprofits that we talk to actually rent even stuff like printers, and so for them, it would just make more sense to rent continually, especially when they're constantly rehoming these units as people, enter their system and leave.
All right, thank you. And mine asked, can you explain the technology and how it works?
So our basic idea is that we have a wooden box, and within this box we have our soil, our plant, we have lights, we have humidity sensors, and we basically have an AC system. We also have several aspects within the system aside from our AC system, which regulates our humidity. We also have like heaters and without going too much into it, we also have systems to keep bacteria from growing, which is a major issue within terrarium and enclosed space gardening systems. However, that's going to go into our IP protection zone, so I won't go too much into that. I hope I answered your question.
All right, nice job. And Jenna asked, have you thought about targeting schools or restaurants who might want to grow their own food?
We have thought about it tangentially. We have spoken to a couple soup kitchens. There is some interest there, but we currently believe that we can only focus on so many markets at a time. And we've just gotten so much more interest from preppers and like nonprofits that we're not sure if we're ready to take that step towards restaurants and soup kitchens yet.
All right. And Heidi asks, what is the quantity of food that can be produced? Is this for a family?
So 1 unit is one person, assuming they consume 2,000 calories a day. If you're a small child, you could eat a little less, so you would get extra food. If you're a very large person or very active, you might require more than one. In terms of quantity, I'm still calculating the exact weights, but we do have that in calorie-based numbers. If you're interested in knowing exact weights, you can just direct message me your contact information and I'll send it over when we get it.
Right. And Howard asks, is your growth cycle faster than traditional methods? And how fast can you change over to a new crop?
Currently, we're looking at 30 to 45 days per turnover. So that means you have 30 to 45 days until everything that you planted on day one has been harvested. Some of the plants in there will have a few harvests. Through our system, you can force some plants to fruit earlier and speed up their cycle that way. But it's not a requirement for the plan that we're currently following.
All right. And Thomas asks, what are the energy costs associated with utilizing your system?
Currently, we're looking at, I believe it's around 350 volts. I don't remember exactly, but it's about as much as a gaming computer. That's what I remember from our electrical engineer.
All right. And time for one more question. Amy asked, what are preppers?
Oh, they're people who are preparing for either a natural disaster, the end of the world, or something that would cause them to be unable to rely on society.
All right, nice job. There are a couple of questions we didn't have a chance to get to. So Team Terminus, please do address those in the chat. And great presentation.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. And Tommy V's Gelato is next.
Hi, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, hello everyone. My name is Tommy V, and I'm here to present what I learned from this boot camp and the progress of my business, Tommy V's Gelato. So Gelato is the vessel for me to express my culture and imagination, and I strongly believe that food brings people together. I want to connect the community with my gelato by delivering a quality gelato experience, cultural integration and inclusiveness, and adding economical value to Lowell. Introducing Tommy's Gelato, a new fusion concept to Lowell where I combine popular Asian flavors with Italian machinery and technique to create my own version of gelato. My gelato is made with premium ingredients that matches the luxuriousness of Italian gelato. It is also lactose-free, so customers have an easier time digesting my product, and I'll be utilizing continuous churning machines which allow me to make my gelato right in front of the customers in its freshest way to eat gelato. So during my accelerator with E4All, I sent out a Google survey to locals from different ages and backgrounds, and adding new questions and sending more surveys to students. And overall, I accumulated 96 responses with their purchasing decisions on gelato and ice cream. And since my flavors are Asian-based, naturally, I will target the Asian population in Lowell. And what I learned from my survey is three things: high demand for vegan alternatives, customers are willing to pay for a premium for a high-quality gelato, and flavors being the strongest factor in purchasing ice cream. And overall, the biggest takeaway is locals are unsatisfied with the frozen dessert options in Lowell. And with my gelato, hopefully I can be the solution to this problem. So how I'll be distributing my product is through catering events hired by UML student organizations. And through student events and university organizations, I'll serve directly to the students and the public. And in the future, local businesses and organizations outside UML are also potential customers for my catering services as well. And how I'll be generating revenue is the amount of gelato serving spot by the organization and the catering hours I perform during the event. And then here are my plans for the rest of 2021. I'm currently reformulating my gelato recipes with vegan milk and with the goal of having all my gelato and sorbets and becoming 100% vegan. And by August, I'll have all the necessary legal structures to hold my very first catering event at UML in September. My goal at the end of the year is to fulfill at least 8 catering events and establish strong social media presence. And also, one of my goals is forming an LLC where I need help in. And I'm calling for help in rebranding my business, logo creation, website development, and advertising. So if you follow the same passion for inclusion in food, please reach out to me so we can work together on making Lowell a more culturally responsible community. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and I open to questions now.
All right, nice job, Tommy. So we have a chat question from Yeharn. What kind of milk does your gelato use?
So right now I'm using a blend of coconut milk and oat milk.
All right.
And I used to be, my previous recipe was this lactose-free milk. It still contained dairy. However, during my survey, I found out customers are more, enjoy vegan alternatives. So hopefully I can cater to that demand.
All right, sorry about that. Some other chats are coming in. Heidi asked, how will you distribute and what is your marketing plan?
So my marketing plan is working with student organizations such as UML ACE and other Asian organizations such as VSA, CASA, and KSA. And through and these organizations hire my catering services, and I will serve my gelato there while they have their own separate event. Have their own separate activities along with my gelato.
Great. And Bijay has his hand up.
Hey, Tommy. So I have an interesting brand question for you. So say you come up with a new flavor that's durian, lychee, and rambutan, very exotic fruits. Is your vision more towards commoditizing the flavor and making educating your users and almost dumbing it down to make those flavors known and popular? Or do you consider those exotic premium flavors almost like a wine taster who should know their fancy fruits? What's your stance on those type of flavors?
So my goal for this fusion dessert is to bring, Italian gelato, which is very comfortable with the community as, an Italian luxury dessert. And with like exotic flavors, like you said, like rambutan or like dragon fruit, I want to combine that and create this like a whole aspect of Asian culture and these new like flavors that, most people haven't heard of.
Okay, so I guess would you find yourself spending more activities to do that education piece or to find
yes, and hopefully, let's say I work with VSA, the Vietnamese Student Association, and one of our flavors that's very popular in our culture is Vietnamese coffee. And with my flavors, with my gelato flavor and their education, hopefully we can, spread that around.
Okay, cool, thank you.
All right, and Elizabeth asked, have you thought about using essential oils?
Essential oils. So let's say my tea flavors such as like matcha or jasmine, I brew them with loose leaf tea. So there's no substitute for quality ingredients.
All right, and Electra asked, do you have competitors already in the marketplace?
There's places that sell like shaved ice, such as Snow Days, or open up there's some recent boba shops. However, they're mostly specialized in drinks, and what I want to focus on is frozen desserts. And since there's no local gelaterias in Lowell, I thought that'd be a great opportunity to show that.
All right, and Lisa asked, what is your cost of production? Continuous churning seems like it needs specific equipment. And is this equipment mobile for catering events?
Oh, yeah, so this machine is quite expensive. I don't have the numbers right now, but roughly one machine is able to churn out one flavor. And I have the numbers right here. on an average event and my cost of goods sold. I'm sorry, and the machine is roughly around, I think, $4,000 for that machine to churn that flavor. And using that money from DifferenceMaker, hopefully can fund for those machines.
All right, and time for one last question. So Howard asks, will this be just a catering project, or do you have plans for brick and mortar and perhaps large scale production?
Yep. So my ultimate goal is to open up a gelateria. And right now, this is like a stepping stone to my ultimate goal. And truly, you know, bring awareness to the Asian culture, really open up the idea of fusion flavors. And yes, yeah, that's my ultimate goal, just to open up a gelateria in Lowell.
All right, great questions again, and nice job, Tommy. There are some questions we didn't have a chance to get to, so if you can read through the chat and answer those questions, that would be wonderful. Nice job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up is Team TrueFit.
Good evening. As we speak, 3/4 of the world is unvaccinated and COVID-related deaths are rising. Masks continue to be our first line of defense, not only for protection against COVID, but also against other hazardous materials. But how can a common man be sure his mask is protecting him? Currently, there is no real-time indication of the proper fit and seal without using very expensive and specialized equipment. TrueFit presents the world's first real-time indicator of fit and seal for commercially available masks. I'm Pranav Ramaswamy, a sophomore at Westford Academy.
Justin Marcoulier, business student at UMass Lowell. Our other teammate, Sid, is a master's in plastic engineering, and we are advised by Professor Bello.
TrueFit introduces the world's first real-time indicator for fit and seal made for commercially available face masks. TrueFit was the winner of the 2021 UMass Lowell campus-wide Risk Difference Maker Award. We are grateful for the learning experience extended during the summer boot camp. The overall value proposition continues to focus on the versatile integration with commercially available masks, the color of real-time visualization of fit by the users. TrueFit's primary customers are mask manufacturing companies and respirator PPE manufacturers. These companies possess the necessary infrastructure to integrate TrueFit's technology into their manufacturing line. End users for TrueFit's fitting and sealing solution are workers in high-risk industries, including construction, those who deal with hazardous materials, oil, gas, mining, and healthcare workers.
Over the course of the boot camp, TrueFit interviewed 33 customers. These were decision makers, influencers, recommenders, and end users. Seal is important, but cost is the primary driver for adoption. People and companies will adopt this only if it is economically feasible. Secondly, almost all the customers echoed the importance of mask comfort and readjustability, which will be a key utility of the skin-safe adhesive. Lastly, the importance of technology commercialization, having proper IP, strategy, and execution. TrueFit intends to license its technology to respiratory PPE manufacturing companies. Our customer discovery so far has concluded a need for our technology to demonstrate short to middle term return on investment and sustained R&D potential. Revenue streams would consist of royalties and IP licensing fees. Continuous investment in TrueFit's technology is contingent upon continuous R&D efforts to further enhance its technology to sustain customer relationships. Our next steps are continued R&D, gathering relevant test data for future generations of TrueFit's fitting and sealing solution, seek professional consultation on refining our IP strategy, conduct further customer interviews, and market study to validate and refine our hypothesis. Lastly, to obtain relevant NIOSH certifications to validate our technology. We are seeking help and guidance with refining our business model and developing an appropriate strategy towards technology commercialization, licensing our technology. Thank you, and any questions?
All right, great job. TrueFit. I don't see any questions in the chat at this moment. John has his hand raised.
So I have a question as far as you said IP. Do you have a patent or patent pending or anything on this?
We're currently in process of filing a series of provisional patents on various aspects of the technology.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And Jenna has a question. Why would manufacturers pay a license instead of buying IP rights?
It really comes down to it really comes down to the time frame that manufacturers want the technology for. Don't really have a good answer to that. That's something we'd consider, or I think we'd seek help with while speaking to our patent attorneys in terms of what the best course of action is. We haven't really kind of dug deep into, what IP strategy would suit best from the manufacturing side.
Excellent. Yes, and for all the students, don't feel like you have to have an answer to all these questions. This is really to help you think deeper and to help the interested mentors learn more about you and your project. So nice answer, Sid. BJ has his hand up.
So quick question. I saw the pie chart on kind of those industries and like those that market. I guess, do you have a preferred target where this solution works best for? And with the converse answer is, are there concerns that certain industries or certain tasks that might be too hot, too sweaty, or some other condition that makes the adhesive and solution less ideal?
So to answer the first part of the question in terms of what conditions would this be, or what task would this work best for? The whole purpose over here is to provide a real-time indication of seal. So be it, if you were an everyday consumer or working in an extremely high-risk industry, it would kind of fit, everyone's need in terms of no matter what activities they're performing. But when it comes down to customers' willingness to pay, that's kind of, where we would want to target our basically our end users would be people working in these high risk industries like construction and mining. And that's kind of going to be our spearhead market for now. And in terms of, I'm sorry, could you repeat the second part of the question again?
So taking that concept, say we focus solely on mining, would you be concerned if the mining is a particular depth where it's now very hot or very dark or some other condition where the solution is less likely to work? And it's like, will that ever conflict with your target industry?
That's a great question. So in terms of the technology itself, there are several aspects of this that kind of target customer problems of mass fitting, comfort, and of course the sealability. So one of the future generations of this technology would constitute the visual sensor as well as the sealing solution embedded within the mask periphery itself without having to integrate an additional accessory. And that would kind of solve the problem associated with comfort or very, very extreme conditions. And that's what we're leaning towards.
Sure, that makes sense. Thank you.
All right, and Thomas asked, what is the marketability of your product as the pandemic subsides, and how will this affect demand long-term?
So the whole purpose of COVID-19 was to kind of raise the awareness of the importance of face masks for protection against airborne transmission of diseases. But we kind of used that as a catalyst to illustrate an even bigger problem, which has existed in these high-risk industries like oil and gas, construction, and mining that is associated with sealability. We believe that the marketability of the product would stay the same, irrespective of how COVID subsides in the near to the long term, because people do care about liability, especially construction workers, and that's where we construction, mining, even oil and gas workers, and that's where we think our product would find the best product market fit. And we believe that that would go that would play a major role in sustaining its demand over the long term.
All right, we have time for one more question. So John's is next. Is this something that could work in clean rooms?
Absolutely, it could certainly work in clean rooms, and I think its utility would be best expressed if there were more than one personnel within the clean room. The reason is, since the indicators, the visual indicators are positioned on the outside, you do need a secondary person, or the person needs to be standing in front of the mirror to flag a poor seal. So to answer your question, yes, it does work in clean rooms.
All right, great job, Team TrueFit. There are a couple of questions we didn't have time to get to, so please look in the chat and answer those. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
You're welcome. All right, so next up is Team Vivest.
All right, bear with me here for 1 second, please, while I get everything set up.
Yes.
Are you guys able to see my screen?
I cannot.
Let's try this another way. Any progress?
Yeah, so Max, we can see it. If you can just enlarge the PowerPoint. So clicking the box.
Are you seeing this screen?
Yes, yep. So we can see it. It's just small. So if you can just make the PowerPoint bigger.
We're seeing the edit screen. You probably want to make sure you put it in the slideshow mode too.
I believe I am in slideshow mode. It's the wrong screen. I have a multi-monitor setup here. Bear with me here. I'll get this squared away. New share.
Yeah, so we see the screen with the blue background.
And you see the PowerPoint in the middle?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the wrong screen. Let's try this again. I want to share this screen. So you see only blue, correct?
Yes.
How about now?
Yes.
Nothing.
Nope.
Working?
Nope. Good to go. Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. My name is Max Frawley. I'm actually presenting on behalf of Alex Frawley. I'm part of this team. I've been working on this with him from the get-go. So happy to speak to it. We are preventing what we call the Vivest. So the Vivest is a product that was specifically engineered to protect athletes from impact and abrasion sustained from common barbell movements. Essentially what that means is we're putting padding on the collarbone, any sort of barbell movement, whether it be a clean, a jerk, anything where you have a bar resting on the front or back of your collarbone or your neck, padding there to protect the athlete, keep everyone safe, keep everyone healthy. Our mission is to provide peace of mind, comfort, and safety during all those dynamic movements to allow our athletes to continue to progress without the risk of injury and abrasion, scratches, things of that nature. And we did receive an honorable mention for the 2021 Difference Makers Challenge. So our company, our value proposition, as mentioned previously, is we developed this accessory to be worn during these exercises to protect specifically the collarbone and neck area. There's a lot of common Olympic movements used primarily in CrossFit, but this could also work for Olympic lifting or any sort of strength and conditioning program, whether it be a gym or on your own. The Vivest allows for beginners to learn and practice dynamic barbell movements while drastically diminishing the risk of injury. This idea actually came from our mother, who was getting into CrossFit at a later age. And she was always complaining about her collarbone and her neck being sore and hurting and limiting the weight that she could do. So by protecting the neck, we're proposing that we can actually allow athletes to put up more weight, maybe move a little bit quicker, and just enhance their overall fitness and comfort while working out. As mentioned, our specific target market will mainly be composed of CrossFit members. We find that that's the most common area where you'll see men and women of all ages moving around barbells a little bit more vigorously than kind of your standard Globo Gym type atmosphere. We also think that this could fit very well with college and high school, high school level strength and conditioning programs, multi-sport, nothing specific there, as well as Olympic lifters. So anyone who's specifically Olympic lifting, this would absolutely help them out. And we surveyed a lot of people, over 200 people with backgrounds in either, college athletics, CrossFit, or that Olympic lifting. And, obviously we found people wanted to feel safe while they were working out. They wanted the protection. They saw it as a value add. We also found out that our best sort of marketing strategy would probably be word of mouth, boots on the ground, knocking on doors, showing off the product and allowing our users or potential users to trust it, feel it, work it out. And until we crack into that wholesale market, our customers will be our users. Our main revenue stream we project will be online and in-person sales. As mentioned, we'll have boots on the ground, knocking down doors, going gym to gym. But we also plan on launching a website where we can use that online, social media type marketing to get people in while we, we start from a grassroots type marketing campaign. We don't project really spending a ton of money and buying targeted ads as much as we think about word of mouth will be will provide us the best chance of success. And to sustain growth over time, we will eventually need to get into reselling options, universities, gym owners, specific brand owners, and rehab facilities, whether it be a Cressy Sports Performance or a specific CrossFit gym that has a brand in multiple locations. We foresee that down the line, but definitely out the gate, much more boots on the ground type marketing. Next steps and what we need help with, finished development of the prototype. We're right there. I can tell you that I just had a couple emails in my inbox earlier today where we're finishing prototyping on what we think are our final products ready to launch and what we're calling a medium and a large. It will be unisex. Therefore, we're cutting down on inventory and overhead. Go through extensive testing with these prototypes. So, like I said, this is right where we're ready to launch. Once we get it in the hands of some trusted folks, get the feedback that we want, we're ready to go forward and finalize a partnership with CrossFit professionals. We are already in this stage. We have connections. 3 of the bigger names within the CrossFit industry as a sport. These guys have all competed professionally, and they actually have a programming that they run for gyms across the world. They have over 100 gyms that do programming directly with them. And this programming actually just got bought by CrossFit Incorporated. So now they're what is being called CrossFit Athletic Programming. Essentially, these guys are doing the program for CrossFit across the board. As of right now, our main ask is for input on patenting. We're kicking around the idea of, do we go with a utility patent, a design patent? Do we patent at all? The pros and cons, the timeline, the costs, the benefits, the risks, that's everything that we would want some help and guidance on moving forward. Thank you guys all for your time. I'm happy to explain anything in more detail. If you have any more questions, I'm also happy to answer those.
All right, great job, Max. We'll start off with John.
So my first question is it similar to K-Vest, or is this is a lot simpler than what the K-Vest does?
I am not familiar with T-Vest.
K-Vest, like the letter K. Yep.
I've never heard of K-Vest. When we were doing our market research, our main competitor we found was a product called Chesties. It's a padded sports bra only for women. So we're looking at this as the weight belt of protection. We're looking at it as an accessory We did find that there was a padded shirt. Someone tried patenting a, essentially a dry fit shirt with pads that has failed. We've come to find out, but I'm not familiar with K-Vest. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, K-Vest is more used by like physical therapists and golf coaches and so forth for proper body movements and body mechanics. So it could be a good fit with that, or along with that.
First thing I'm doing once I get off this is Googling K-Vest.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Elizabeth asked, would it provide protection for any other kinds of jobs?
That's a good question. It's something that, we probably wouldn't be comfortable throwing a warranty or a guarantee on. It has potential, but that's definitely outside of what we think our target market is.
This is an interesting question from Thomas. Is the product approved and allowed in competitions?
We haven't even gotten that far yet. Our goal is to go down that path eventually, especially with Olympic lifting. With CrossFit, like I mentioned, we have 3 guys who are now employed by CrossFit as a company. So if we could get approval for competition, it's definitely something we've kicked around. Not yet, but absolutely something we'll address. Great.
And Elizabeth asked, could it be used for any medical purposes like broken collarbones?
Absolutely, the potential is there. And another thing that we have actually talked about internally, we haven't quite gotten there yet in terms of reach, is potentially bringing on a doctor as a consultant or someone that we can, I guess, kick that idea around is, hey, if you have a broken collarbone, other than just, hey, stay away from it or put you in a sling, it could potentially add some level of comfort and protection.
All right, and we have time for one more, and it looks like it's more of a comment from Lisa. So this definitely sounds like finding athletic influencers could be a beneficial marketing piece. And I believe through the boot camp, you have been working with influencers. Is that correct?
Correct. We're absolutely going to go down that path. I appreciate that input. Between the 3 guys who we have a personal relationship, each one, the guy on the lowest end has about 30,000 followers on Instagram, the highest up 100,000 followers. So between those 3 guys, I know there's a lot of overlap, but we project that we can have a direct target audience of well over 100,000 people immediately if one of those guys posts, or if they posted from their what they called the ham plan that's now got acquired. So we're going to start there, and hopefully with their friends seeing and getting on board, and maybe CrossFit as an incorporated company gets on board, we're absolutely going to keep pushing for more influencers and people to help spread the word.
All right, nice job, Max. There are several questions we didn't have a chance to get to. So again, thank you to the audience members for all these great questions. So Max, if you could look through the chat and answer those questions, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
All right, and then lastly is Team Wonder Wheel.
Alexander's just sharing.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure my microphone was working first. Okay, we can all see the slides?
Yes.
All right.
So, hello, we're Team Wonder Wheel. I'm Sanskriti Sharma, and that's Alexander Hiffer. We're both now graduated ECE students from UML. So Wonder Wheel is an affordable open source wheelchair power assist. A power assist is essentially a motorized add-on for manual wheelchairs. So something that can help people in manual wheelchairs by giving them an extra push. We won the Honorable Mention Award in the Prototyping Competition of 2020 and the Jack M. Wilson First Product to Market Award in the Idea Challenge of 21.
The main value of our project is that it provides a significant quality of life improvement for wheelchair users, enabling them to do more with their time while helping prevent chronic injuries. Additionally, for wheelchair users who need assistance, a major benefit is reduced labor for their caretaker. Lastly, we are committed to making our device more affordable than any competitor currently on the market, while seeking to improve where current products are lacking, which will help make this technology more accessible and further benefit our users.
So our primary customers are manual wheelchair users who are outside of insurance coverage. What this means is that some sort of conditions are such that insurance will not consider it necessary that you have a wheelchair power assist. At the same time, you do need it. So those people are who we are primarily targeting. Another customer group would be the caretakers, and thirdly would be the customers who have to depend on insurance because they can't afford it without it.
Our revenue sources would consist of selling devices, parts, or intellectual property. During the early stages of our project, we've been thinking of selling electronics, such as the control board, to any customers who are more hands-on and would like to build a device themselves, but don't necessarily have access to the electrical knowledge or resources. We're also examining the possibility of selling access to plans for a similar sort of thing. Again, for people capable of, building something on their own, they just need something to start with. We plan to work with open source accessibility tech communities to help sustain the development of the device, while also building interest and connection and forging connections with potential customers.
So as for next steps, we are looking at designing and building a user-ready prototype. We already have a prototype that works and can propel me in a wheelchair, but we want one that is more user-ready. Then we are also in talks with the College of Engineering to make it a continued capstone project so that we have more hands on deck to work on this project. And once the design is finalized, we can look at potential partners or initial sale volumes or what we're going to do about donations and things like that. And as for what we need help contacting manufacturers, obtaining legal advice, and funding. Thank you.
All right, great job, Wonder Wheel. So now it's time for Q&A. We do have a question in the chat from Greg. What is the power source of this?
We currently use a lithium-ion battery.
All right. Excellent. Other questions? Elliot, you have your hand raised.
So when it comes to the power source, is that power source agnostic, as in, the consumer chooses their own battery supply?
That is a good point. So long as it could meet the specifications of our control board, like if it's a situation where we're providing a control board and they build it, I think so long as it could meet the specifications of the control board, and more importantly, the battery spec meets their needs, I don't see why not.
And furthermore, on a design question, I guess, when I looked at the initial design on the first slide, I saw that you had one motor for thrust and then one for steering. What made you go down that path instead of going down the differential wheel speed path, where you can have both wheels change their speed like a tank almost to do turning on right on the spot essentially?
So part of the problem with differential wheel speed path is turning speed and ability is directly correlated to the distance between the wheel axles, which would make the device a lot larger. And basically, for a lot of our target market, they're people with limited mobility, which means a lot of them use a wheelchair part-time. And while we're trying to make our device as low impact as possible on manual usage, there may be times where they have to pick up, they have to put their wheelchair in the car. They have to, or maybe they just want to roll it around themselves, propelled by hand. And making the device as compact as possible makes that a lot easier to achieve. It makes it lighter, and it just reduces impact on the user.
All right, thank you. Electra asked, how does it work physically? Is it a handheld lever?
We use a joystick control mechanism. So I actually have it right here on our current prototype. Just have a joystick. It's just like you're playing any video games with the joystick, anything like that. Anything controlled by joystick, you push forward, goes forward, back, it goes back, left and right, steering control, that sort of thing.
Excellent. Thomas asked, How much use can a single charge provide, and how often does it need to be charged?
For our current device, we weren't able to actually, we tried to do exhaustive testing, run the battery all down, and we ran out of time. This was back when the pandemic was more difficult. We were meeting on campus for it, but we were able to use it for up to 2 hours without major voltage decrease. The current battery we're using, I think from 0 charges in about 3 to 5 hours. I'd have to look at the data sheet to be sure. But what we're hoping in a future device to have either, if not a custom battery, then a battery selected that has USB-C supercharging capability, or something similar to that. So the very fast, under an hour charging.
All right, and Greg asked, how does someone build their own?
So that's something we're still working on the specifics of, but what we're thinking right now is that we make the brain of the thing, of the device, and then people can get the designs of the pre-manufactured parts or the parts that need to be machined, and then have those sent out and build them, or get them pre-machined and then build it. Something like that, but it is not something that we have set in stone currently.
Yeah, and what we're kind of looking into and what we're looking for is with these sorts of consumer made, user made devices. There's a large community for that online, and just throughout the world. So there are definitely people who have the capability to make these devices on their own, and a lot of them share that capability with their communities.
All right, and Elizabeth asked, is the battery rechargeable?
Yes.
Yes.
And she also asked, how do you brake?
So at the moment, braking relies on the wheelchair brakes, or if the user can move their feet, they can brake with their feet just against the ground. That is something we've been looking into for our next design. It's one of our big concerns because one thing we experienced during testing is potential runaways down a hill. Yeah. We wanted to do like regenerative and impedance-based braking just fully electrically, but that was not sufficient.
All right, excellent job, Team Wonder Wheel. And lots of great questions. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to all of them. So Team Wonder Wheel, please feel free to read those messages and chat in the answers if you have the time to do that. And nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes the student presentations for this evening. So for the last 10 to 15 minutes, David Badalera, who is the RIS Difference Maker Fellow and also the manager of the mentor program, will be giving an overview of the mentor program, more details, and also next steps. So David, I will pass it off to you.
Thank you, Holly. I'm going to share my screen now. Actually, I don't have sharing ability.
Oh, Graham, could you give David screen share?
There we go. Thank you. All right, let's see. Just click over. So the mentor program is about bringing the teams and the mentors together. The Difference Maker, we've been working with these teams. I came in the summer and started working with them. And so it's really been interesting to see how they've been getting together, but now we want to bring in the mentors and have them working with the teams too and add them to the mix. And we're here to support both the teams and the mentors. So just remember that also. So the steps. So basically what's going to happen is after this event tonight, we're going to send a survey. It's going to be due by July 30th. And the mentors, basically you're going to update your information. So it's going to have some information in there. And the teams you're interested in, you're going to pick your top 3. So we gave you basically that option. And tell us a little bit more about your background and skills. The teams, the skills and needs that are going to be required by you, and any additional questions around working with the mentors. And the mentor and team surveys, after we get all of them in, and we'll be reviewing them as they come in over the next week or two. But by the 30th, basically what we'll do, we'll review them, and we're going to look at the interest and the team and mentor interest and match them together by looking at setting them all up and printing them out and whatever we have to do. And basically then we're going to see if there's shared interest. And once mutual interests are expressed between the mentors and teams, we'll send out information to basically arrange a first meeting, find a good time, good location. So we'll do either Zoom, DifferenceMaker Central, or if there's another location that's better for everybody, we'll meet at that location. During this meeting, I'm going to attend. We're going to review the program a little bit further with you and help facilitate the meeting, and then help you schedule another meeting. And we're looking, suggested 4 hours of mentoring a month. Obviously, depending on everyone's needs and availability and willingness, that can change. And after this meeting, if the team, it's the team's responsibility to basically schedule these meetings with the mentors. Holly and or myself, we're always available for questions to attend these meetings when requested. I've been a mentor for the program. I've done 2 teams, and it was a really good experience. And it was really interesting when I first started, just meeting the other mentors and then working with the team. One of the teams I worked with, I actually became both their engineering mentor and their DifferenceMaker mentor. So and hopefully it'll end up working really well like this, and we'll have the DifferenceMaker supporting the teams and the mentors, and we'll get things rolling. Are there any questions I can help with or address from mentors or the teams? It's pretty straightforward. So I will be sending out those surveys tonight and tomorrow morning. If there's any questions, feel free to email me. And other than that, I think, Holly, I'll pass it back to you.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing more details about the event and also your experience with the mentor program, David. Thank you very much. So we do have a few minutes left. Are there any questions that we can help with at this time from the mentors or the teams? Okay. So like David said, if there are, please feel free to email us. We are happy to help. I hope that everyone enjoyed the event. A big congrats to all the teams. You did an excellent job. And I know a lot of hard work went into the spring semester and getting through the boot camp. So excellent job today. And to all the mentors and audience members who are here, I know you're volunteering your time to be here. So thank you for supporting UMass Lowell and DifferenceMaker. And we really look forward to getting you involved in the program. So with that concludes the event. I'll hang back just in case there are any last questions. And I hope that everyone has a great night. Thank you so much.